Thank you everyone for clicking the video. As you could tell from the little title here, we're doing a little roundtable with the Noximus squad, going over a couple different cards that we like in ALC, whether it could be meta, art, just fun cards in general. Believe me, I see a few cards that are questionable, but we don't get into that. But pretty much we're gonna go around, talk about the cards we picked, why we picked them, and sort of have a discussion what the rest of the team's thoughts. Here we have myself, Rav. We have Bryrt, Amphi,
Hello.
Azul, Zach, and Bob. We do have a couple of members who couldn't make it, but it's hard navigating a couple different time zone issues. Clem is 3 a.m. Violet had some other issues pop up where they won't be able to join us. So we work with what we do, and hey, things happen. But to get us started off, the first card I'm going to talk about, I mean, my personal favorite card, I think art wise, mechanic wise of the set, is Forge Light Shield Maiden. This card is Creative Shock on a unit. Granted, it has Foster to do it, which is questionable. I'm still not a big fan of the Foster mechanic, ironically, but I think after dealing with Allies meta for 6 months, that really makes it feel worse. But I mean, you have Creative Shock on a stick. You have a class bonus to also buff it, where it could be questionable swinging as much damage as normal 3-drop allies as a 2/3. I mean, I think, and the art is amazing. I'm gonna be Bob and get probably 40 foils of this, like he does with Refurbish.
Oh yeah.
Nothing's gonna stop me from owning multiple copy foils of this card. And then the other card I picked for this video is False Step. I think this card is absolutely bonkers. We're talking about a 1-drop. I mean, granted it's Umbra, but it's a 1-drop, prevent damage dealt to your champion this turn. Prevent 2 of it, just flat 2 whenever it's dealt damage this turn. And then champion becomes distant. If you pay another 2, all your allies become distant. So it's pretty much a 3-drop. All your allies become distant. Prevent 2 damage from every source this turn. And I think this card is just absolutely absurd. Like, I think this is a really good range card. It's better than any Guardian card we have that prevents damage at this point. But I mean,
yeah, I think that's definitely a 4 of in any Umbra deck, because I mean it's that 1 unit Freitas that gives all your units distant, but you don't have to jump through hoops for 3 turns to get it. Yeah, I think it's a great card. Distant is a very powerful mechanic when you can apply it across the whole board like that.
I like the ignoring 2 damage of any type. We really need just blanket damage negation in this meta, because non-physical and physical damage is just massive right now.
I mean, what's the other card right now that's giving distant? That's really reposition, right? Is that the other 1-drop?
Oh yeah, that was not
It's
bad.
a basic
Evasive maneuvers
maneuver,
blocks the damage.
and yeah,
Backstep.
Yeah. I mean,
backstep.
backstep.
There's also reposition, I think it's called,
Mhm.
with floating memory.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but this one's super versatile because you could just use it to prevent the damage, or you could also just use it to buff all your allies. There's like the one ally that has it also swing for 7 if you give it distance. So this just like helps set that up, which is huge. So this would be a super good versatile card.
How do you guys feel that it's Umbra though, for the most part? Like, is Umbra too much limiting for it, or is it just like still auto included?
I think if this wasn't Umbra, it would be broken. So I think it's fine Umbra.
Yeah, I think
that's fine.
As it stands, I feel like there's the Umbra package. It's kind of hard to find room for it because the other Umbra cards are already so strong. You know,
Yeah, that's fair.
like a lot of the time, if you go Umbra in a deck that just goes like a little bit Umbra, you want to end the game in 2 turns, right? And you're probably ahead enough that you don't need to survive, or you don't need any help to survive your next turn, right? So this would probably be for a deck that like goes Umbra really early and has a lot of Umbra, I think.
I guess that's fair, especially when you're watching Crux deal lethal swinging blows in like 2 turns after the fact.
Yeah, like, Umbra has a bunch of allies in its package. The only ally at the moment that I think is kind of worth it is the guy that has Cleave.
Oh,
just because I don't think Diana has the best. I don't think she has any board wipe other than that guy.
Carter, right? The 2-drop.
Yeah.
Class 1 Cleave.
Oh, that's right. I did see him. I was like,
yeah, he's an interesting one because he has to sack a automaton. There's not a ton of options for ranger because most of the rangers are humans. So it
automaton is only for. I think was it only for +2, or do you have to?
Yeah, only for the plus attack.
+2 on enter.
Yeah.
I mean, please give me Umbra Guardian. Like, this card's also Guardian class bonus.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Like, please get. I will have.
I want more Guardian stuff that's actually good. I
Yeah.
mean, the card that you like is really good Guardian, but Foster mechanic's a little rough considering you have to throw your whole hand down to do one Guardian card a turn.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm
Mhm.
gonna kill your Foster with a Lurking Assailant before it fosters.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
guess
just
it
think
dies.
the whole foster mechanic is it's designed to be really hard to use. I think, especially when you look at the actions that are available to make a unit fostered. Because to make a unit distant, we have three. I can count 3 1-drop cards. You have evasive maneuvers. You got false step. You got reposition. They're all 1 cost. Make an ally or unit distant. To make something fostered, I'm pretty sure on average, any card to make a unit fostered is like 3 cost or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's,
organize the alliance 3 cost.
So it's much more difficult.
You could see Zephyr as kind of like make this ally fostered as well, right? Play it on your opponent's
Yeah.
turn.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that
But
just
like
feels so bad.
something else that the opponent could do. I'm spitballing here. It could be like because Zephyr only protects it to the end of. I assume you're
Yeah.
Zephyring during the opponent's turn, right? Then opponent ends their turn, comes back. Say for example, it was like a hybrid Fire Merlin. They could just before your recollection, they could Baka Light or something,
Yep.
or in response
Yeah.
to your materialization.
Mhm.
That's still something they could do.
True.
Right. And now Ari having potions on board for fast damage if she wants sometimes. So yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of options to clear an ally that you put all this, you invested all this into to foster it, and then it's gone like that sometimes. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of fostered units, to be honest.
Yeah. To be
I
fair,
feel like there's something there. Like in my testing so far, if you manage to pull it off, like you just start this insane value engine where you're just getting cards and cards and cards and cards. And like I was testing with Amylase the other day, and as Fire Tony, I had like 12 cards in hand against Merlin with like 3, and it was like, what's going on? How is this card advantage swinging this way, right? So the game might be to pressure them so hard to use up all of their answers as you keep trying to foster stuff, and then finally they're like so tapped out that you can do something else. Maybe you don't even win by foster, right? Maybe that's just the threat.
Right.
maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, in a response to like those slower decks that really only have the sparkle lights and such and deal with it. Yeah, I could see that happening for the most part. But
I think the innervates actually got way better with this set. I don't know. It could just be me, but I feel like all 3 innervates have a place in this set. If you're not, especially if you're not going advanced element, I feel like they can really pivot into any element right now with the new cards that they showed us.
alrighty.
Yeah, Innervate sucks in Ranger though.
Oh yeah.
You mean you're gonna skip level 2 back to level 0 because you use your level 1 to materialize a gun?
Yeah. And then you just
Yep.
go into Lorraine, and then you're good to go.
Easy.
Lorraine with a gun, I like that.
Yes.
And have a gun if you want.
Sylvie with a gun.
Realize
Sylvie with a gun is the best deck.
Sylvie level 2 with a gun, even better. That might be the meta call.
You're leaking the Ontario deck we're running.
Sylvie's no longer a
Sylvie
tamer;
with a
she's a
gun.
poacher.
Yeah.
She be poaching. All right. Next we have Bryrt.
Alrighty, well, we can't talk about Bryrt without talking about Polcock, so that's my first pick. That's the best card of the set, art-wise. He's just so cute and eats popcorn, and what's not to love about him? Is he meta? Probably not, but he's adorable, so we love him anyway. My second card is Windblessed Gatekeeper. It's one of the Guardian allies, and I think it's just a solid card. It's going to slot really easy into Wind allies, whether that lands on Warrior or Guardian. I think it's pretty versatile too. Gives Taunt, which sometimes helps in those more aggressive mirror matches or allies on allies. And then you have the option of giving a buff counter to your Guardian allies. 2 most notable ones, just that we already use already, is Ace and Protector and Wind Rider Vanguard. It just already has synergies with the 2 cards that go into every Wind allies deck. So that's my second pick.
I feel like we talked about Windblessed Gatekeeper, at least early on when this card was spoiled. I think trying to jam it into Wind allies deck. I mean, a 4-drop. We'll consider it a 4-drop because how often you gonna pay it as a
4-drop.
how often you gonna pay this as a 2-drop just for a 1/2 taunter? I imagine you use the
Right.
on pay too to get a buff to make it a 2/3. Doesn't seem horrible. And like you said, I mean, it's so much synergy. bouncing, has taunt on a 2/3 body, which is pretty good in the most ally lists. Like, let alone Resolute Stand it. It's that card's not going anywhere anytime soon. Or even Deflecting Edge. Like, it's still have to waste some pretty hefty attacks into it just to get it off board. So I think they're good.
I'm not looking
I'm
forward
just
to
trying
more
to think
allies.
how
to have to
Wind
get
Blessed.
through.
I'm just trying to think how Wind Blessed would slot into the current Win Allies list. Like, what would you
I
take
like it a
out?
lot, actually.
I think currently I'd probably just take out Weaponsmith at same sort of
Yeah.
stat line. It's one less health, of course, but then you have the versatility of giving your allies versus another sword durability. Because oftentimes I find it where I don't necessarily need the sword durability. It helps, but typically the allies are the path to victory. So being able to buff them, I think, would help a little bit more.
Right. And I think even like say you're in a tough spot in your hand and you don't have a lot of, like valuable humans to put out, you can put out Windbless Gatekeeper, and I believe you can buff herself to make her a 2/3. 4-cost 2/3 isn't the greatest thing ever, but I've had hands where, one card that can give me a 2/3 on board is, something I'd want.
Yeah, that's a good call. And sometimes it helps balance Gildas because you'll have like an 8-card or 9-card head and you have like this awkward hand and you're just like, I don't have balance, and something like this would help.
Yep.
Sometimes it's like, if I just could play Ace and without having to bounce something, it would be balanced. Well, you're like, well, here you go. Answer for that.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that,
I
actually.
couldn't even imagine a Gildas being a 5/4 coming in for
Yeah.
5/4.
Well, Gildas, I believe, is a clerk, so I'm not sure if she can get the buff.
Yeah,
that's right,
but
she
an
is.
Ace in
I
So
Protector-
the
think
buff counter has to target a Guardian ally.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Which
right.
Which I guess, overrunning in that Guardian is Ace and Protector?
Ace
Yeah.
Protector, yeah.
Yep.
Ace and Protector.
Yeah, which I mean, still 4-drop. I mean, Ace and Protector being a ginormous stat line is
Yeah.
Yeah, and not to mention a Wind Rider. You got a 3/4 with Vigor is also
right.
amazing.
That's
Yeah.
right. Windrider Vigor is Guardian Warrior, I think, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
Guardian
do like your rallied advance trick, so you can attack with that unit twice. I think there's
Ooh.
good value in this one.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a card I think definitely worth testing as a whole.
Right.
And then there's this Polhawk that,
That's the best card in the set.
Dude,
man,
he's amazing.
As we were talking about before we start recording, I'm pretty sure he was cut from the dedicated deck for him.
So I did cut him from my Polcock deck, but that's okay.
Still the best card.
He's there in
It's still
spirit.
the best card. And as soon as he
Range
gets
is
the
great.
CSR version, I will be getting one.
Absolutely.
SP2, don't worry.
Yeah, SP2. Here we go.
No, that's gonna be altered. Altered's gonna have all the alternate lineage heroes
Oh,
or
yeah,
whatever
I'm
they're
ready
calling,
for it.
not first edition,
pray for
That's
Alter.
right.
as we call
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So buy more first edition, that way we can get Polk CSR. So that's the takeaway from this.
Mhm.
Yep.
Shirtless though, right? He's got to be shirtless like Tony.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Oh, he's already pretty much shirtless.
I mean,
He's already
he's almost
close.
there. He's almost there. It's got to be fully though.
Oh
Dude,
man,
all this love for Tony
let's
B.
go.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Xander 2 is going to be Xander Deft Absecutor.
Ooh, okay.
I like it. Oh,
But
man.
speaking of Polhawk, what do you think of his effect, like giving Ranger reaction cards one less cost to activate?
I think it'll be good in the future, but right now there's just not enough options for him. We have a couple of norm options, and then there's like one of each element type that you can use. So it's like really limiting of what it can do versus Diana just pulls out your bullets and now you're ready to shoot things. So it just kind of felt slow, but I think eventually it'll be useful.
Yeah,
At the
I've
moment,
also
he
I've been
has-
testing Polk, and yeah, he there's just not enough Ranger reactions to make it worth going into level 2 over Diana.
Mm.
I
I
kind
do
of
think
wonder
they
if
are
something
doing
like.
it right with this deck.
Sorry, go
Oh,
on.
sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I
was
I
gonna
gotta
say
wonder
they're
if something
doing
like
it
take.
right by
Oh shit.
Doing good,
Go
guys.
ahead, you go.
One of you speak.
I was saying they did it right with this set by trying to build the card pool, because any good start to a game is building the card pool and then adding on to the existing card pool instead of just trying to build like a fast like, hey, we're just gonna sling cards that all do like these heavy hitter things, because then you'll have to worry about power creep instead of having like, here's a stable card base with all of the cards and classes we're trying to get, and then we're gonna slowly add and see where love needs to be spread accordingly.
Yeah, the one thing I found with Polhawk, and I did some testing with you, Bryrt, was the fact that he doesn't materialize a bullet by himself was a little bit frustrating.
Mm.
Yeah, it's rough. You have to hope to draw your one main deck bullet, and then you're good to go. But before that, it's rough.
Because you can lineage release Diana 1 to get the gun, but you have to either have a gun in hand, the incendiary shot, I think it is called.
Yep.
Yep, or you just wait a turn and materialize a bullet, which is
Right.
no
But then
great.
you're
Or
not that great. Yeah.
there are
Or you
other
force
options as
load.
well.
Force load is interesting, but it only can really bring out either the penetrating shot that does 0 damage, or you can bring out the one that does like 2 damage. So it's decent, and it definitely does help solve that problem a little bit, but it just doesn't beat being able to materialize a free bullet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Amphi, with you two.
Hi. So my first top card is the Archer, the Water Archer, Crystalline Archer, I believe it's called. I like it because it's like you took 2 of the most powerful allies in Water allies and you kind of crushed them together, right? This is like Gildas, and Frostborn Paladin, in a single card. And miraculously, it only costs 2. It feels like it's both of them at the same time, and it's cheaper than either of them. I feel like this would be a really good ally, even at 3. And in testing, it seems to be really easy to use. It allows you to leave up more, which is like, okay, great. It doesn't balance Gildas, so that's the one disadvantage, right? But it allows you to run something like Tactical Retreat and not have to worry about like, oh god, I can't keep 4 up to run Tactical Retreat, right? So I have to play Song of Frost instead. Yeah, it just gives you a lot of flexibility because you often have 2 up after doing your Gildas swing, which is perfect for playing the Archer, eating the floating memory, and going in for another 4, right? Which is just like it's a lot more than some decks can handle.
Mhm.
And then my second card is the old Sea Sprite Diver here. And I feel like this is Raccoons, except it's not a waste of a body as well. Almost a guaranteed 2-for-1 against like anyone who's running floating memory, unless they're just creative shocking it at end of turn or something like that. But if they've got a floating memory ally on board, like that Flame Rune Swordsman that they're just shoving in your face and they're going like, don't kill it, otherwise I get a free floating memory. Well, you're basically guaranteed a 2-for-1 against it. And I think that between those two, I feel like the Weebs are really trying to push the mill yourself meta that they've been doing with the past previous sets, but nobody's really ever gotten into, right? Like with the Sink into Oblivion and Set the Traps and stuff like that, right? Like it just wasn't enough for people to be.
Oh, we lost
Now
you, Amphi, briefly. You're going robotic. Oh no.
No.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
Archer,
The Sea Sprite Diver got him.
like all the support for flipping stuff in your graveyard.
Rip. Rip. All right, that's gonna be fun to
Fire
edit.
players found him. Oh no.
There we go.
All right. Sorry about that.
You're fine.
It's okay.
Anyway, I see that Weebs wants to make this water mill yourself thing a real thing, right? And they've been trying to do it for 2 sets, and they're kind of forcing the issue now with like Cascading Round and the Crystalline Archer, and it feels really powerful. I'm happy that they did it because it's a fun archetype to play. You feel like a wizard when you flip something off the top of your deck and you know it was the right thing. And I mean, I know it's not really that difficult to remember a card that's 3 down, but you still feel cool when you do it.
Yeah, that's fair. So
Yeah, these are both great picks. I remember in testing, every time I saw that diver, it was just like a surprise. It's like, ah, crap, I forgot you're running Raccoons, but it's actually useful. That 2/3 bodies is like the normal ally stat line you want to see. And I was playing fire most of that time, so it always cost 3 for you. And then you were able to get the value out of it to banish either a fire card or floating memory, something like that. And then every time that I saw that Archer, it was just like, that's going to hurt every single time. So it's a very good one. It basically has taunt too, because if you don't kill it, you're going to take another 4.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fair. I mean, yeah, I think Archer is really good. I think we keep on talking about how this card's actually like not broken, but just like low key good that most people give it credit for. I think that card is definitely pretty good. And then Sea Sprite Diver is what we talk about 3-drop, 2/3 body, like the best stat line this game asks for at this point with 3-drop cards on top of banishing one is just super strong. It's just really gets you what you want to do versus most of your opponents. It's hard to answer, hard to deal with, and just even though it's a 2/3 vanilla, once it enters, it's still the stat line that good luck getting off board. You're just mostly taking 2 damage every turn. So I definitely like these 2 picks as a whole.
Yeah, and the fact that it's not any class bonus makes me think it's going to be in a lot of water decks going forward. It's just a great vanilla, like all around good. Yeah, 3-drop 2/3, like you said, and it happens to do more with the banishing.
So I guess the question is we lost Amphi again.
Oh no.
No.
My only question is, how is the Archer into Merlin? 'Cause I feel like the race to Merlin 2 is going to be Merlin's out in the going forward meta.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I would say into Merlin. I mean, so far, Merlin Crux is still just doing Merlin Crux things. Like, you still have to get it in
Yeah.
turn. Which half the time, I don't think Merlin cares about floating memory after like turn 1, turn 2. After that, you're just dungeon guiding your way to victory. So I don't know how much it cares. I mean, was Merlin even really caring about raccoons currently?
Good question. Not a lot of people are running raccoons because nobody's running floating because they're all getting eaten by Merlin.
Yeah, like I remember being in sideboards and like Splash and like these hybrid Merlin lists, but mostly because they were going, oh look, I'm facing Fire Lorraine or Erupting, like banish cards. But I was never really
Yeah,
teched for the mirror.
Right.
I think Merlin and Raccoon coming out already had its effect, and now they've kind of made themselves a little more obsolete just by existing. Of people are a lot more careful with floating now,
Yeah.
so there's a lot less need to actually run raccoons.
But at least
their existence made a lot of aggro decks just not want to run floating memory at all. Like the current Water Allies lists run barely full floating.
just Fracturize, right? Or what's the other
Just
one?
it's mainly just Fracturize, yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't even really use it as floating. It's more of just like oh, that happened. Cool.
Yeah. And it's mostly just like
And
get
then,
out Scepter their first turn for free.
Yeah, and One Allies has I forgot his name. Swift Recruit.
And
Swift
favorable
recruit and
wins.
favorable wins.
Yeah.
But you play those for their effects, not for the floating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I at least see Sprite Diver is actually better than Raccoon because you get a 2/3 body versus what? Raccoon's a 1/1. All right.
Yeah.
1/1, yeah.
So I mean, at least
cost.
we should get the 2/3 body sitting on board, which makes it pretty good. And I guess a follow-up question would be, how long till we get the champion that says when you have no cards in your deck, you win the game? How long till we have that mechanic?
Hopefully a while.
Don't do that.
It's a dangerous game.
Dangerous, very dangerous.
Indeed.
I think we have a card preventing that from happening. It's the or no, I guess it wouldn't have to allow arcane, but the what was it? The arcane card that you banish off the top until you find it.
Oh,
until you find an arcane.
Yeah.
Or is that unpreventable damage though?
That's unpreventable.
That is
damage.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Maybe you could stack the triggers where you'd win first before it blows up.
Yep.
So even if it's a simple mechanic like the next time you would draw if your deck is empty when games to prevent those type of win cons, like so your deck's empty, but you still have to at least trigger the empty deck mechanic of like where you would lose the game. Like isn't that technically how MTG Labman works? You have to technically have no cards, so something like that. I think will make it a little balanced.
I think they have to be careful if they do introduce like a self-mill win con, just because like I feel like there is enough self-mill in the game where Fast Track could be viable now.
Yeah.
That's right. I think Nico is about as strong as self-mill as they're gonna go for now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Which seems fine to me.
Yeah.
Coming from Magic and playing a lot of blue-black mill, as much as it's fun, I don't want to have to deal with a whole meta of self-milling and doing dumb things.
That's fair. All right. And next on our list, Azul. Get your 2 cards.
Well, the 2 cards I chose are Dahlia Idyllic Dreamer and Force Load. So I've definitely been, out of the 3 champions introduced in ALC, I've definitely been playing with Ranger the most. Mainly because I am not I am not the kind of person that is naturally in tune with what Arisana wants to do. I want to learn how to play her, but like I have no experience building decks for her kind of archetype, so I'm just gonna wait for other people to do it.
Right.
As for Tony, I am in the same camp as Rav, where like I think it's difficult to utilize the foster mechanic. And I don't think I have the mindset to, again, same with Arisana, I don't think I have the mindset to try and make it work at the moment. And Ranger has guns. So I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed that a lot. Just because, like, compared to like Lorraine, for example, Dahlia has a lot more damage potential. Not Dahlia. Diana herself has a lot higher damage potential with like the bullets and all that, because you're doing at minimum, I would say on average, you're doing like 2 to 3 damage per shot, which is way more than what Lorraine could ever do. Right, with her usually 1 damage swords.
Right.
But back to my actual cards. Dahlia. So I have a liking for cards that ended up using that scale damage based off of what's in the graveyard. So the first deck I ever built by myself before I ever like considered, before I really got into competitive Grand Archive, was like a Merlin Erupting Rhapsody. And I enjoyed that a lot. Then I realized how bricky that deck can get, so I dropped it. But yeah, like Erupting Rhapsody, Lakeside Serpent, I believe is the name, that scales damage based off of water cards in the deck, which is next to useless because I think its pride level is 6.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that didn't work either. Then Lantern and the whole Fractalized shenanigans happened, so I'm like, damn it, this is not gonna work. So yeah, Dahlia. First, her class bonus effect on attack, I think it's very good for what she wants to do. Where you can actually look at the top card of your deck, and I believe it's if it is water, you may put it in your graveyard, so you're not
Yep.
forced to do it, which I think is very nice. And then her second effect is if she has ranged X, where X is the number of water element cards in the graveyard. What I like about this effect is that you're not forced to run it in a ranger deck. It's not, that effect is not class bonus. So in theory, you could do a whole bunch of things with that. Like, someone might be able to make Water Merlin, Tide Diviner, Dahlia work or something.
Okay.
Like,
Right.
there are many different routes you could go. I was theory crafting at one point, like, maybe using it in Guardian. And then like Cleric has also gotten a bunch of like self-mill options as well. So there are a lot of different, I feel like there are a lot of different ways you could make Dahlia work. I just think it's going to take a lot of like fine-tuning and experimenting.
Right.
As for my other card, Forced Load, I just like this card because it's the only way in the game at the moment where you can shove 2 bullets into a gun or more.
Yep. The flavor
that
on this
is-
card is immaculate.
Yep. So this gives Fire Ranger or just any deck that runs a gun in like insane damage potential.
Yeah. Yeah. Loading the gun that makes your damage unpreventable, or loading the bullet that does that. Yeah, just
Laser
having
shot.
more damage in a gun. Yeah, I think there's a lot of really good options for this. And when you can't, wait another materialize to grab a bullet, and you don't have a material deck bullet in hand, it's a great way to, fast track that damage.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of trying to remember what bullets exist at the moment.
You have
Because
the basic
There's something
renewable
new.
one, which is 1/1.
yeah, there's
plated
plated
bullets, taser shot, and piercing shot or something like that.
penetrator round. Yeah, those are the only
Penetrator round,
ones.
that's it.
Those are the only 3 you can currently grab with 4 shot.
Yeah.
So if you're going for damage, you could probably just be like incendiary shot, plus a plated bullet using force load, or you could like incinerate, or you could load in a bullet and then force load a taser shot in it as well, because taser shots affect the whole, when you level up this turn, take 4 unpreventable damage. That is a on champion hit, so they had to actually take damage for the effect to take place. So that is very easy to counter with like a resolute stand or something. So
Right.
force loading another bullet into it typically would take the total damage up to, I think, 4, because usually it's 1 damage from the gun, 2 from a force loaded or another bullet, and then 1 from the taser shot. So that's 4 in total. That just goes over resolute stand. So that guarantees that the taser shot effect takes place.
Yeah, not to mention it goes over deflecting. It goes over a lot of the defense options. There's I can't think of one for 4 that's easy or like normally ran to pull off.
Mm.
The 4 is a
Only
very
one-
good number to hit.
Yeah, the only one that could do it is like Veiling Breeze, but that's not really run anymore.
Right.
I do think Ranger with the force load really throws Ranger's damage output even higher, because testing against Polkhawk, it's like, all right, here's 9 off the incendiary round and doing all the and force loading it and taking like 9 damage, and then having a blazing throw come in with the Polk gun and come in for 13 damage. It's like, all right, well, I'm level 1, I'm at 9. Oh, I just lost. Oh no, that's not good.
Yeah, I told you.
So like
Polk
early
was
game
fast.
is really.
I think force load is definitely a card that is going to be, I think, a staple in every single fire ranger deck. Like, I don't think there's going to be a fire ranger deck that doesn't run force load in some shape or capacity. The card's just so good. But I am really interested in how you can mention about Dahlia. Like, honestly, I thought range X was class bonus for this entire time. I'm not gonna lie. I just saw class bonus as the first line, and just like mine just assumed any text underneath it was class bonus. So I do think that you could be onto something. There might be some interesting, like, that's your end game card. That's the card that you're swinging in to try and close out games. Since water's sort of lacking that mechanic outside of like Arendite.
Yeah,
and-
like you could do
Which is
Dahlia
class
and
bonus.
Arendite, like multiple win cons.
True.
Yeah, and on force load too, it raises the ceiling for what Fire Ranger can do at level 3 as well. Because you want those hits to land for your like double creeping torments and stuff, so you can put in the shot that makes it where you can't do its unpreventable damage, and it just like raises the ceiling of what Diana 3 can do. So I think both of these are good picks.
Yeah, not to mention in level 3, with Shadow's Twin, on load it gets I believe it's +2 damage. So that's just a way to add more and more damage to Diana 3.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to next in the list, we have Zach.
Well, going back to the whole talk about the cleric, both of my cards are both cleric. I got Conjure Downpour and the Potion Infusion Clarity, which I am really loving in cleric right now in Turing testing, because it feels really good to basically turn off with Conjure Downpour, turn off a whole ally's turn, because one of our local players is a sort of wind ally, but it's more just ally spam, and I was staring down like attuned allies, and I took 2 damage for a card that costs 3, that with an Idle Thoughts the turn before basically just turns on draw a card into memory, so it recurs itself, turns off their turn, and I only take like 2 or 3 damage. And then with all the recovery potions in water, it's like the turn never even happened. You can then pre-recollect Infusion Clarity as well, and that's why going into the next one, Potion Infusion Clarity is so good, because the fact that it's fast really makes it so you can utilize it at any time that you need to, like water likes to do.
Right.
Conjure Downpour is literally better than like 99% of the Guardian Prevent cards.
Yep. Yeah, cleric has some nasty damage prevention in their kit that Guardian just doesn't. Guardian is kind of like asking for more damage some of the time. Like Blazing Charge, just poison dagger yourself, I guess. Guardian doesn't seem to be all about damage prevention like I thought it would be.
Same. But I mean, Conjure Downpour though, -2 attack is so good into most of these ally lists that we're seeing right now. I mean,
And it replaces itself too, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be a crazy good card.
yeah, replace
Yep.
itself,
Yep.
and then you're sitting there dealing with what at most sometimes maybe a Gilda swinging in for 2 damage, and then the rest of the board
Exactly.
is really just nothing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Super good, especially if you're facing stuff like Ranger Rush decks and everything like that. I think it definitely comes into play more and more as it goes around. I think it's a pretty good card actually. Like I think this
Yeah,
might be like
fucking-
an include in anything that even isn't cleric.
Yeah,
Like-
the Potion Infusion Clarity is a good pick too. It's basically like like another Scepter, because it's basically the same stat lines for that, and that has proven to be good too. Being able to do that before pre-recollect, that way you can draw up your
Mhm.
cards. So that's another good call as well.
Yeah, I'm really interested.
I found it's really fun on push. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, your cards. You go first.
I would say I found in testing that it's really good on like a potion of healing where you're just like, all right, I just took 9. I'm gonna go back down to 4, draw 2, and then recollect and draw for turn, and now I have like 8 or 9 cards in hand.
Yeah.
So with water staring at 11 cards to fire's 12 cards feels really nice.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Did Water finally get draw?
yeah. I think
Yeah.
I'm just more interested to see how relevant potions are going to be as a whole. Like, there's some good ones. Like Potion of Healing is good. Like, I
Yeah.
think that card. Like, I honestly remember it in every single deck. I make it like an auto include 2 or 3. Like, just paying 3 healing for 5 is just good. This is a good mechanic. But there's a couple potions that really make me question. Like, I think potions might be a step behind. I don't think it's far off from what it wants to do. I think it's like maybe the supplements it away from becoming like its own archetype. Like I think it's just on that edge because there's so many potions, but they don't seem very. That's what I'm looking for. They're either way too expensive, and you're not brewing enough for it, or it's just like you're just forever. The effects aren't fully there. Like you too much have to do this setup with infusion stuff at the same time, and it just like you're paying 2 to 3 cards to do what some other decks are doing in one, which makes me like feel like it's almost there but not fully yet.
I would agree. It feels like there's no good way to deal with board state too, which is a problem. Like I was hoping for like a potion that would. Essence of Blizzard is great because everything comes in rested, but there's no way to like deal damage to explode on the board.
Yeah. Oh, like something
I mean,
like
that's kind of what Astra is for, right? There's that 5 cost card that deals plus bonus full damage to all non-Astra units.
yeah,
Yes.
which is somehow better than Anger of the Skies. Like
It deals damage to the
I'm
champion
calling
as
2,
well.
and you can play it for free.
yeah, literally Anger of the Skies
Yeah.
deals 4, only hits allies, but then Comet Fall comes around. Oh, start calling it 2. Sure, you can hit champs. Like okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
until you're in the mirror, and then none of your spells hit.
Hey, if you're playing the mirror, you just
I think
cry.
there is room for like this sort of lower level aggro potions deck as well. Emily's made a wind potions that feels a lot like Lorraine Wind allies, and then like swung at me I think 3 or 4 times maybe in one turn with a single Gildis. You could do that with a Lancelot or something like that. It took a bit of setup and gathering like I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 herbs, but then it just all comes out explosively, and it's kind of a big surprise, which is really cool.
I heard the word Lancelot. Where's Clem? Or do we gotta say Lancelot 3
Oh
times?
well, we didn't actually observe the Lancelot. This was with Gildis, but you know, in theory, Lancelot,
Oh,
right?
right.
Right, yeah. Just like all the Lancelot plays, it's all in theory.
Yeah, my strat for Ontario is just cross out the hindered text on Lancelot. Nobody will know. It's great.
Nobody
Yeah.
will know.
Lancelot's the best ally.
Gotta do it in the CSR version too. Everyone would be so impressed by the shiny they don't
Easy,
realize.
dude. I could get 4 of those CSRs for like $90.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Oh, poor Lancelot. Oh, like, it's all right. We have Lancelot 2.0 and Claude in this set. So, I mean, it's gonna feel bad opening that
I've
CSR.
been cooking with Claude. I'll let you know how it goes, but I've been cooking a little bit with him.
Oh boy. Speaking of cooking, Bob, you're the final one on the game show.
All right. So my 2 cards I picked are Rococo, Explosive Maven, and Fireblood Oath. I think they're great cards. Well, one of them at least. I think Rococo is an amazing card in Assassin mostly. I think 1 cost 5 damage with Poison Dagger is great. I think Rococo is just great explosive damage for when you're low on influence, which is pretty often in Assassin and any like, you know, that kind of aggro deck. And even if you don't have Poison Dagger, one cost drop, a 1/2 that does an extra 2 on enter is just good. I think Rococo's a great ally. And also when she's, I mean, yeah, with the unique rule, you can just, I mean, you can do Rococo twice in a turn for, you know, 10 damage if you got Poison Dagger out. I think very good. And then Fireblood Oath is my favorite card because I can kill myself turn 2 with it. I can turn 1 get 3 fire engrave, and then use it, lineage release Serene Spirit, and then de-level into nothing and end my game.
It's going to change the meta on
Yep.
PK decks.
I'm going to speedrun losing at Ontario the fastest like 08 possible.
God, I don't.
Technically, it feels more like a Teferi's Protection in Magic, where you just phase out of the game, and everything that you own is phased out, so you can't be touched.
Yeah, I don't know if there's something in the rule book for if you don't have a champion, but I'm sure you. Okay, I haven't seen that, but that's great.
De-level is an effect here. What does it say? You keep talking.
If you ever don't have a champion, when you previously did have a champion, you lose the game immediately.
Okay, I figured.
Yeah, there's a lot of Trisket interactions. The Discord were brewing like decks that kill yourself so fast, and it was like turn 3 or 4 is what we were get to. This just like cut that in half, so you know that meta solved.
Yep. Yeah, for the when Yeti runs a like alternate event where it's just kill yourself, this is my deck.
I don't understand what was the use in pointing this as a super rare. Why is this card an SR?
Yeah, in all seriousness, I cannot name a single use for this card. I don't know what it's for. I'm sure like Silidar is gonna be trolling us with like, oh yeah, I mean you guys just haven't found out how to use this card yet.
I'm telling
there's
you,
a use somewhere.
I'm telling you, the big brain play is you go level 3 Tony starter deck, you get all 3 obelisks, you de-level, and then level up to this booster box Tony. Big brain.
I guess somehow that could happen, maybe.
Really slow game. I do want to know who the art though. Like, who is the lady? Actually, like the character on this.
She's in another art, I believe.
Is
one
she?
of the ones. Yeah, she has like a big sword in one of them. I think.
Oh.
I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Okay, I like the art. But Rococo.
Yeah, I think that's a great card too. And it's a good call in Xander. It's gonna like kind of change how Xander plays. I think a little bit, maybe not change, but it's definitely gonna enhance what they're doing and make it really fast. And like you're saying, with the unique part of it, it just makes it go so much faster, which is gonna be awesome to see.
Oh, it does. It goes real fast. Like,
me and Zach.
It just solidifies me playing water because I'm just like, well, I can do things and stuff in response. Otherwise, it's just let's race.
Yeah, me and Zach testing earlier. Rococo for game happened quite a few times. So Rococo is a good explosive damage card.
Yeah,
Rococo CSR win.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't have, yeah, even if you don't have Poison Dagger, it just comes in. It's just a 3 damage for 1. It's just like good value. Like that's just super good. But yeah. Well,
I think Silidar talks a lot about how the aggro archetype is like underrepresented, underexploited. Oh, fuck him. I
don't understand how. But I mean, that's sort of either here or there. But I mean, I think aggro is probably. I mean, I'm on record. I'm gonna be. We lose him again. I'm gonna officially be on record. I think haste on creatures is cursed. All I'm gonna say.
I will agree with you on that, but I also think that the game needs creatures with haste. Otherwise, the games would not progress as fast.
I mean, I think that's fine, but it's also fair when everyone's playing slow. Play faster.
Yep. Please don't go to time against me at Ontario. That's all I ask.
Yeah, this
Beat
is-
me by all means, but please don't go to
Yeah,
time.
this is your Ontario public service announcement. Play faster.
Or Watermelon, and I go to time more because of my opponent playing around a Frostbind than me actually playing the Frostbind. It's like,
Yeah, you'd be like that NorCal Regionals guy list. His list was, if we go to time, it's not my fault. But
Yeah, my players will just be in the corner, going 1-0 all day. It's 1-0 or 0-1. You decide.
rip fire
Yeah.
Luxem players. Going to time
Everybody run Morgan at a cent. This
Don't-
targeted
no.
hate for pickle list. Run Morgan.
don't make pickle cry, man. Don't do that to the man.
oh no, we don't need people playing Fire Luxem to cry again. Not again.
Oh gosh.
So bad.
But all right, guys, that's sort of been through all the cards we originally talked about. Anyone want to add anything? Any other maybe a third pick card they just have top of their head they maybe didn't get to mention and didn't see in the list? Anything else before we sign off here?
Harder Herbs. That was the one that almost made the cut, but it's one of those. It's great when it's great, and when it's not, it's bad. That's why it didn't make the cut, because it's one of those that really helps filter your herbs that you need, but also has class bonus floating memory.
I mean, both the herb cards being one drop floats are just like mind blowing. Like that's such good value.
Yeah.
On the
I like
topic
the
of
ally too, the 2-drop 1/2 that gathers with floating memory. That's got some good value to it too.
Right.
also, I think ingredient pouch is by far cleric's best regalia. Just fast-
Absolutely.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
That's a good one.
End of opponent's turn, you have cards in hand, just tap it, gather a herb.
Yeah, not only that, but if you look at a lot of Guardians have 4+ memory as like a additional bonus to it. So you just do that, and then they usually cost 3, and then you got your 4 right there, which is
Right.
nice.
yeah, I think the card's pretty good. Hey, at least you get a
Oh.
foil stamp version of the ingredient pouch.
Ooh,
Mm.
all right, I'm ready.
Get your release
Oh,
kits
yeah.
now.
Yep.
But alrighty, well, thank you everyone here for joining. Everyone who's watching at home, everyone that joined the Discord call, thank you for joining. For our first video, I assume will be our first, unless I decide to do something else like an introduction video. But we'll see. We'll see how long this takes in editing. I'm already fearing my time. Before I go play Power World for another 4 hours.
Oh, jeez.
But thank you everyone for joining. My name is Rav. I'm joined by Bryrt, Amphi, Azul, Bob, and Zach. Thank you guys for joining, and have a good one.